race, I mean, we're going to get into talking about that race. There was a lot that went on there, and we even had a driver kicked out of the series afterwards too. So a lot of drama in the SRX camp, but really cool to call things for ESPN. I mean, working with like Alan Bestwick. Alan Bestwick, I think, is one of the legends of the sport. I mean, I don't know why he's not doing more motorsport. Obviously, we hear him at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway all during May. You know, we're going to hear about the Brickyard Weekend as well. But that guy is just so experienced, so good at what he does. And I really appreciate the SRX series. If you haven't watched it yet this season as well, I know last year it was on network TV. Now it's on ESPN. But ESPN Thursday Night Thunder, I mean, it's every Thursday night. It's going to be this Thursday night. It's going to be the next Thursday night. I'll be back in the booth August 17th for the season finale. So it was fun. What'd you think of it? What was were you able to watch it?
Yeah, well, yeah, like you mentioned, it's pretty amazing. All the adjectives you can think of that Paul Tracy finds a way, even in a series like SRX, our pal PT, to just cause some mayhem and some chaos. Was
like
that
absolute chaos?
Was that difficult to toe the line in the booth? What were your thoughts on old PT?
Well, you know, it's tough. For those who didn't watch, you know, Paul Tracy's obviously involved. Joseph Newgarden, you know, faces friends of our show, people that we know from open wheel racing. Elio Castroneves, my teammate, you know, recent teammate, was there. And, you know, Paul has this bad boy reputation, which is actually awesome. I mean, for years, he's been known as that, and it's been kind of funny, and it's been awesome because everyone needs that. And he's lost, like, I gave him a lot of credit in the broadcast as well I mean, the guy lost like 50 pounds over the offseason to come back. And I mean, he looks completely different as well. It looks like he's going champ car racing again, like next week. It's incredible the effort that he's put in because he wants to be better at this. That's the drive in a driver. You know what I mean? Like that's why we're so passionate about it. But there's a couple things that and as people know who listen to this show, I will always be honest, and probably not the best thing for me most of the time. But like, if you cause an accident, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, if I saw Joseph Newgarden doing what Paul Tracy was doing, I'm probably going to call out Joseph Newgarden. You know what I mean? But there was a little bit of desperation. There was some accidents the previous week as well that he was kind of already on the limit for. And you've got to remember, with this series, it's supposed to be entertainment, right? It's supposed to be a series that these team owners, Roger Penske, Chip Ganassi, Hendrick, Childress, any of these folks will allow their drivers to do because they think it's safe. You know what I mean? Because they don't want it to be damaging them on race weekends. But when you see big shunts like we saw, you know, over last Thursday night, it might make team owners think a little bit. You know what I mean? It's kind of a shame to see that. And it isn't really necessary. Like, yes, we all want to race, and they all want to race really hard, and that's what makes it entertaining. But there is a way to do it without completely writing off cars. So, you know, there's a little bit of rubbing. You know, rubbing is racing, as they say. But there was that accident just kind of put it over. And again, they were side by side, and Paul just tried to get on the throttle a little bit aggressively. You know, to give him credit, that probably turned out the worst that it could have turned out overall. That wasn't like a really intentional just driving into the back of somebody. But because of where he was in the field, because of how that could have been avoided when you're racing side by side, it was just it was, you know, it was a shame how it worked out for Paul. Like, I don't want to throw him under the bus too much, but there's definitely enough there. If you look at the last couple of weeks where you're like, hey man, like maybe let's just pump the brakes a little bit. That's all. And I like Paul. I like what he's all about. You know, he's a very talented driver, but he has been suspended from the SRX series. So I don't know if that's indefinite or not. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it was pretty crazy to watch on Thursday night how it all took place. It almost felt awkward in the booth. Like, both Alan and I were like, "Oh, yikes!"
All those
like,
faces, going to break.
That is not good. Yeah, yeah. Back to you in the booth. Yeah.
Thanks. How do we toe the line on this one? Yeah, the official statement from SRX Right after it happened, Superstar Racing Experience has announced an immediate suspension of driver Paul Tracy in relation to yesterday's on-track incident at Pulaski County Motorsports Park. So yeah, it just says immediate suspension. Doesn't say how long or indefinite or anything. Then pretty much just a straightforward, from Don Hawk statement of, we take issues regarding driver safety extremely seriously at SRX, yada yada. But yeah, I mean, tough spot there for the traditional open wheel guys at the Motor Mile there last Thursday. You have the whole podium with Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Tony Stewart. I mean, obviously Tony Stewart has all of it, you know what I mean? But I think of him more so at least. And NASCAR, then you have Marco, Paul, Joseph, all down there towards the bottom. Elio at 6, but
tough night for the open wheel guys. Tough night for the open wheel guys. That's one thing, and I know people. I was getting texts. This is kind of funny. I was getting some texts from comedian John Christ, and John was watching, and he's very funny on the internet. And he's like, "Man, what is with all you open wheel guys?" Like, he's a big NASCAR fan, and he's been to IndyCar races as well. And he's kind of ribbing me a little bit about that. But it's such a different arena of the sport. Like, I can promise you, even those cars, right? Heavy, big cars, not a lot of downforce. They have power steering. They have, Goodyear tires that all the NASCAR Cup guys are used to, because that's the tire that the SRX series runs is actually very similar to the Xfinity truck tire. So it's tough, man. Like, when you have no practice and you just jump in like that, it's going to take a while for these open wheel guys. Like, I'm just glad we had Marco winning the championship last year for us open wheel guys. Sure. Clearly it is possible, right? But depending on the track, depending on the situation, some of those Cup guys, some of those stock car guys are going to be, they're going to have a bit of a field advantage. So interesting to see that. I'm actually curious to see how that plays out at the next race as well.
Yeah, it's Berlin coming up on Thursday night, 9:00, of course. Conor will not be in the booth this week, but the next 2 weeks from now, right? August 17th.
Yes, August 17th. It'll be the finale.